Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so what are we supposed to be outraged over this week, right? Every week is a new thing. What's the next thing that's got leftoid brains exploding? What's the next threat to our democracy? You could pretty much bet your last dollar that every week's going to be something different, and you could also bet your dollar that every week's going to be something new, a new controversy, and you also pretty much know that it's going to end up being an absolute joke. And that's exactly what we've got today, one big fat joke. And you know what? I can't seem to wrap my head around the lack of perspective from the left these days. The fact that they can't see how this stuff's going to play out ahead of time. The way that they convince themselves that dying on these pathetic hills, somehow it's going to benefit them. You know, like defending deep state corruption, fraud, waste, defending the IRS. Not exactly the side that you want to be taking. And once again, the left is blinded by their partisan outrage. We have a leaked email that government employees are currently being sent, and the leftoids are grabbing onto it as if it's something to be outraged over. Yet again, another Elon Musk scandal. Let me show you guys how pathetic this is. This is what the left is outraged over this week. A very basic email demanding the most simplistic level of transparency and accountability. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so I guess the left has finally found their proof of fascism. Here's Elon Musk, the fascist, sending a mass HR email to all the paper-pushing bureaucrats asking this very simple question. What did you do last week? Please reply to this email with approximately 5 bullet points of what you accomplished last week and CC your manager. Please do not send any classified information, links, or attachments. The deadline is this Monday at 11:59 p.m. East. So this is a mass email that Elon Musk sent to people, and apparently any government employee who fails to respond to the email is instantly getting canned, and there's actually a reason for that. Elon posted this the other day. The reason this matters is that a significant number of people who are supposed to be working for the government are doing so little work that they're not checking their emails at all. In some cases, we believe non-existent people or the identities of dead people are being used to collect paychecks. In other words, there's outright fraud. So Elon Musk is sending an email out there, trying to find any MIA federal employees, people who are supposed to be present and accountable at their job, but they're not even checking their emails. And so he's running a simple test here to try to get to the bottom of it, which is typical Elon Musk. He did something similar actually at one point in an attempt to find somebody who was working at his company that was leaking privileged information.
An ex-account by the name Mars tweeted to Elon, "Elon, in 2008, how did you catch that employee who leaked the confidential data of Tesla and sold it to the news outlet?" Elon answered, "That is quite an interesting story. We sent what appeared to be identical emails to all, but each was actually coded with either 1 or 2 spaces between sentences, forming a binary signature that identified the leaker."
So Elon's just employing the same kind of brilliant tactics that he does with his own companies, and we know he runs a very tight ship, and for some reason, it's just so unacceptable. It's the end of the world as we know it. And the question I keep asking myself is, why is the left so hell-bent on defending fraud and waste? This is what I mean by they're blinded by their partisan rage. It doesn't seem to matter what Donald Trump or Elon Musk do, as long as they do something, it's wrong and a threat to democracy. Make it frickin' make sense. This is just basic common sense. If you're working a job, then you ought to be able to explain in 5 bullet points what it is exactly that you're doing. In fact, that probably ought to be a mandatory if you're collecting taxpayer dollars. It's just basic accountability, something every real job expects from its employees. I just don't understand the reaction. If it's such an outrage that all these people are being fired, if they're all providing such incredible value to the American people, well then what's so difficult? You can't take 2 minutes out of your day to put together 5 bullet points explaining what it is you actually do? I mean, if anything, the hysterical reaction pretty much tells you everything that you need to know, right? These bureaucrats are probably in full panic mode because half of them likely have completely fake, meaningless jobs where they contribute absolutely nothing. They sit in their cushy DC offices, pushing paper around, attending diversity training seminars, and then of course collecting a fat taxpayer check for doing literally nothing. And it's got me thinking, I mean, is this the Trumpian fascism that they were warning us about? The country's gonna go to hell in a handbasket. It's gonna fall to fascism the moment Donald Trump is elected. You know, that's been the argument for the last 9 years. And so what, is this it? Is this Trump-style fascism? Asking government employees to have to submit 100-word weekly reports? Oh no, what are we ever going to do?
What am I gonna do?
It's unbelievable, and frankly, I think the Democrats have guilty written all over their face. You could tell just by the way they're reacting. They're protesting basic transparency. That is crazy. And for some reason, they expect this to pick up. They expect their activism to gain steam and traction. But who's falling for this crap? It's obvious the unelected bureaucratic class is just in panic mode, and the left, for some reason, is doing their bidding. And that's an important part here because it's not just about the lazy government workers. A lot of these so-called public servants, well, they're actually unhinged leftoid activists who are spending every waking moment trying to figure out how to sabotage the Trump administration from the inside. Again, totally unacceptable. Is this really what the left is defending? Unaccountable government workers who don't even check their emails? And others who are actively working to subvert the will of the American people? Who in their right mind would be on that side? It's common sense to identify these people and fire them. And that's exactly what's happening.
Any federal bureaucrat who defies the lawful orders of this president will be fired. President Trump will ensure that whether you work at the FBI, whether you work at the CIA, whether you work at the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, the Department of Health and Human Services, career civil servants, also known as bureaucrats, work for the American people, and they work for the president the American people elected. They do not set their own agenda. They do not write their own rules. They do not work for themselves. They work for each and every one of you. You pay their salaries. You pay for the buildings they work in. You pay for every single thing they do. And if they are not following the laws, the Constitution, and the President of the United States, then they will find a new career.
Stephen Miller doesn't waste any time, doesn't mince his words at all, as he sends a message to every bureaucrat attempting to defy Trump's lawful orders. You will be fired. Let's be clear right now, because this issue is dividing the country into two groups. Those with common sense who want basic accountability and transparency, and those who are defending the indefensible. Because the only people who are freaking out right now are the ones who know that they've been leeching off the system. If you're actually doing your job, contributing, and providing real value, you have nothing to worry about. If there's actual value in the job that you do, it shouldn't be very difficult to take 2 minutes out of your day to put together 5 bullet points. In fact, you'd probably welcome this kind of accountability because it exposes the dead weight that likely surrounds you. And most importantly, it's good for the country. So obviously, the ones screeching the loudest, they must be the frauds, they must be the grifters, they must be the political operatives disguised as public servants. Those are the only people who would be outraged by such a simple email request, because they know that when they actually have to put on paper what they've been doing all week, well, it's likely that's the moment they get completely exposed. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.